A little girl battling leukemia starts a humble lemonade stand to pay for her treatments. But when Clint Eastwood walks by, her life changes forever. The summer sun hung heavy in the sky, casting a golden glow over the quiet neighborhood of Santa Clarita, California. Life seemed normal, almost idyllic, trimmed lawns, rhythmic sprinklers ticking away, and the faint scent of barbecue wafting through the air. But for 7-year-old Lily Morgan, this was no ordinary day. Lily sat on a small wooden stool at the end of her driveway, her tiny legs swinging slightly as she adjusted the sign on her lemonade stand. The sign was colorful, but uneven, each letter written with determination. Lemonade for chemo, $1 a cup. Unlike most kids her age, who might have been dreaming of new toys or a trip to Disneyland, Lily had a bigger purpose. She wasn't just selling lemonade for fun. She was trying to help her parents pay for her chemotherapy treatments. Lily had been diagnosed with leukemia a year ago, a word she didn't fully understand at first but had come to know all too well. The treatments were hard, leaving her tired and often too weak to play. But what hurt her the most was seeing her mom and dad constantly worried about her health, about money, about everything. So one night as she lay in bed clutching her favorite stuffed bunny, Lily had an idea. "What if I sell lemonade, Mommy?" she had asked. Her mother, Hannah, had tried to hold back tears as she nodded, promising to help her make it happen. And now, here she was, her short hair hidden under a bright yellow hat, her smile unwavering despite the heat. The setup was simple: a folding table with a checkered cloth, a pitcher of lemonade sweating in the sun, and a mason jar labeled "Donations" sitting proudly at the edge. Her first customer of the day was Mrs. Henderson, the elderly neighbor who always waved at Lily during her walks. "How much, sweetheart?" she asked, leaning on her cane. "$1, Lily replied with a grin, pouring her a cup. Mrs. Henderson handed her a $10 bill instead, her eyes soft as she said, "Keep the change, honey." As the morning passed, a few more neighbors stopped by. Some bought lemonade, others simply dropped donations into the jar. Lily's big brown eyes sparkled with hope each time someone approached, but deep down, she knew the road ahead was long. The cost of her treatments was far beyond what a lemonade stand could raise. Yet, she refused to give up. Sitting on the porch, Hannah watched her daughter with a mix of pride and heartbreak. Lily's courage was inspiring, but it also reminded her of how unfair life could be. No child should have to worry about things like hospital bills. By noon, the street had grown quiet again, and Lily took a moment to sip her own lemonade. She looked at the jar, which held a modest collection of bills and coins, and whispered to herself, "It's a start." What Lily didn't know was that her small act of bravery was about to set off a chain of events that would change her life, and the lives of so many others, forever. The afternoon sun bore down harder as the quiet neighborhood seemed to sink into a sleepy lull. Lily sat patiently behind her lemonade stand, her determination unwavering. With every car that passed without stopping, she adjusted her sign, making sure the bold words "Lemonade for Chemo" could be seen from farther down the street. The mason jar jingled lightly as she shook it, glancing at the scattered bills and coins inside. It wasn't much, but to Lily every dollar felt like hope in a jar. She took a deep breath and flashed her biggest smile at the next car she saw slowing down. A young mom with a baby in the back seat pulled over and stepped out. "Hi there, lemonade for $1?" the woman asked, crouching to Lily's height. "Yes, ma'am," Lily replied enthusiastically, carefully pouring the lemonade into a cup and handing it over with both hands. The mom handed her a $5 bill. "Keep the change, sweetheart. You're doing something amazing," she said, her voice tinged with admiration. "Thank you," Lily chirped, her face lighting up. The mom lingered for a moment, her eyes catching the colorful sign. "You're raising money for your chemo?" Lily nodded, her tone still bright but honest. "I want to help my mom and dad so they don't have to worry so much." The woman's smile faltered, and she reached into her purse to grab another $20, dropping it into the donation jar without a word. "You hang in there, okay?" she said softly before heading back to her car. As the woman drove off, Hannah stepped off the porch to check on Lily. She knelt beside her daughter, brushing a strand of hair, a little stubble that was starting to grow back, off her forehead. "You're doing great, baby," Hannah said, her voice cracking slightly. Lily grinned. "I think we're going to get a lot of money, Mommy. People are really nice." Hannah bit her lip, fighting back tears. Yes, sweetheart. People are nice. The day wore on, and Lily's small stand began to draw more attention. A group of kids on bikes stopped by, giggling and chattering as they pooled their allowances to buy a few cups. A delivery driver passing through dropped a $10 bill in the jar without even taking a cup. Little by little, the jar began to fill. But as the hours ticked by, the weight of the summer heat started to take its toll. Lily's energy waned, and her once enthusiastic smile began to falter. Hannah noticed and brought out a glass of water for her. "Why don't we pack up for today, sweetheart?" Hannah suggested gently. Lily shook her head. "Just a little longer. What if someone else wants lemonade?" Hannah sighed but couldn't argue with her daughter's resilience. And then, as Lily adjusted her sign once more, a strange hush fell over the street. A single figure emerged from the other end, walking slowly but deliberately. He was tall and lean, his weathered leather jacket and dark jeans making him stand out against the suburban backdrop. His sunglasses reflected the late afternoon sun, and his walk carried an air of quiet confidence. Hannah's brow furrowed as she watched the man approach, a faint flicker of recognition sparking in her mind. But it was Lily who spoke first, her voice filled with curiosity. "Hi, sir. Would you like some lemonade? It's only $1. The man stopped in front of the stand, crouching slightly to meet Lily's gaze. His face was lined with years of experience, his grizzled features softened by a faint smile. $1, huh?" he said, his voice deep and gravelly. "Seems like a good deal." Lily nodded enthusiastically. "It's for my chemo," she explained. "I'm raising money to help my mom and dad." For a moment, the man didn't respond. He simply looked at Lily, his expression unreadable behind his sunglasses. Then, slowly, he reached into the inside pocket of his jacket and pulled out a checkbook. "What's your name, kid?" he asked, pen poised. "Lily," she said, blinking up at him. "Well, Lily," he said, scribbling something onto the check. "I think you're about to have a lot more help than you expected." He tore the check from the book and handed it to her. Lily unfolded the slip of paper, her small hands trembling as her eyes scanned the number written on it. Her mouth fell open. $50,000? She stammered, barely able to speak. Hannah rushed to her daughter's side, her hands flying to her mouth as she stared at the check. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my God, I don't even know what to say." The man gave a small shrug, a modest smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "No need to say anything. This little girl here has already said enough with what she's doing." Hannah's voice trembled as she finally managed to ask, Who are you?" Before he could answer, a voice from a small crowd that had begun to gather murmured, "Wait a minute, is that Clint Eastwood?" The name rippled through the small crowd like a wave. "Clint Eastwood?" someone whispered, their voice tinged with disbelief. Eyes widened, phones emerged, and murmurs spread as neighbors craned their necks to get a better look. Some stood frozen, while others whispered excitedly, pointing in the direction of the man standing before Lily's lemonade stand. Lily, however, seemed completely unfazed. She tilted her head, her curiosity unbroken. "Are you famous or something?" she asked innocently, clutching the $50,000 check in her small hands. Clint let out a low chuckle, crouching again to her level. "A little," he said, his rugged face softening with a warm smile. "But not as famous as you're about to be, kiddo." The crowd laughed softly, the tension breaking into something light and genuine. Hannah, still overwhelmed by the moment, held the check close to her chest. Tears streamed down her face as she choked out, "Mr. Eastwood, I don't even know how to thank you. This means everything to us." Clint waved her gratitude away with a slight gesture, his tone calm but resolute. "You don't need to thank me. It's this little warrior who deserves all the credit. She's out here fighting, doing what most adults wouldn't even think to do." He glanced back at Lily and added, "She's already a star in my book." The crowd erupted in applause, a spontaneous outpouring of admiration for both Clint's generosity and Lily's bravery. At that moment, something remarkable began to happen. One by one, people stepped forward, inspired by the legendary actor's gesture. Mrs. Henderson, who had been sitting on her porch watching the scene unfold, shuffled back over with her cane. "Here, sweetheart," she said, pulling a $50 bill from her purse and adding it to the donation jar. "This is for you." Mr. Alvarez, the friendly neighborhood mailman, followed suit, slipping a $100 bill into the jar. "You've got the heart of a hero, Lily," he said with a grin. The domino effect was unstoppable. A young father reached into his wallet, pulling out $20. A teenager from the corner house handed over his allowance. One family brought out a check they'd been saving for a donation to a local cause and added it to Lily's growing collection. The mason jar, once modestly filled with crumpled bills and loose change, now overflowed with cash. As Hannah looked on, her heart swelled with gratitude and disbelief. What had started as a quiet act of determination from her daughter had now blossomed into a community-wide movement of kindness and generosity. Clint stepped back slightly, giving space for the neighbors to show their support, but he wasn't finished. He leaned in close to Hannah and said quietly, "I've got some friends who'd like to help out too. Don't be surprised if you hear from them soon." Hannah's breath caught in her throat. "You mean—" Clint nodded with a knowing smile. "People care, and when they hear about something like this, they step up. Just wait." The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the street. As neighbors continued to gather, chatting and offering their donations, the atmosphere shifted. What had started as a simple lemonade stand was now a symbol of hope and resilience. A local reporter who had been passing by noticed the growing crowd and stopped to investigate. When she realized what was happening, she quickly pulled out her camera and began interviewing Hannah and Lily. "This story needs to be told," the reporter said, her voice filled with excitement. "People need to see what this little girl is doing and what this community is capable of." Clint, ever humble, stayed out of the spotlight, casually leaning against a nearby tree as the reporter focused on Lily. She asked the little girl, "What made you decide to start your lemonade stand?" Lily's answer was simple but profound. "I just wanted to help my mommy and daddy so they wouldn't have to worry anymore," she said, clutching her straw hat in her hands. "And I wanted to show them I'm strong, even when it's hard." The reporter smiled, visibly moved. "You're an inspiration, Lily. The world needs more people like you." As the evening approached and the crowd began to thin, Clint walked back over to the stand. He placed a hand on Lily's shoulder and said, "Keep doing what you're doing, kiddo. The world's already better because of you." He turned to the reporter and added, "And don't make this about me. This is her story." With that, Clint tipped an imaginary hat to Lily and Hannah, gave a small wave to the crowd, and walked off into the sunset, his leather jacket catching the last rays of sunlight. The street grew quiet again, but the ripple he'd started was far from over. As the golden glow of the sunset faded into twilight, the ripple effect of Clint Eastwood's unexpected visit had only just begun. The reporter's camera had captured the heart of the moment, and by the next morning, the story had spread far beyond the quiet neighborhood of Santa Clarita. The local news station aired a segment titled, "A Lemonade Stand, a Brave Girl, and Clint Eastwood's Big Surprise." Clips of Lily smiling beside her overflowing donation jar, her homemade sign, and Clint's modest but impactful gesture quickly went viral. Social media exploded with hashtags like "Sawing Lemonade for Chemo" and "Lily's Strong," and the story touched hearts across the country. Hannah woke up to dozens of messages on her phone. Friends, distant relatives, and even strangers had reached out to express their admiration for Lily. "You've got to check the news," one message read, followed by a link to a national news outlet that had picked up the story. "What's going on, Mommy?" Lily asked groggily as she wandered into the kitchen, still in her pajamas. Hannah crouched down to hug her daughter tightly, her eyes brimming with tears of joy. "Sweetheart, you've done something incredible. People all over the country are talking about your lemonade stand." Lily tilted her head, a sleepy smile spreading across her face. "They are? Why?" "Because you've shown them what it means to be brave," Hannah said, her voice thick with emotion. But the outpouring of support didn't stop at kind words. Donations began flooding in from every corner of the country. Letters and packages arrived at their doorstep, many containing checks, cash, or heartfelt messages for Lily. One letter, written by a 9-year-old boy from Texas, read, "Dear Lily, I saw your story on TV. I think you're really brave. I don't have much, but I want to help, so here's $5 for my piggy bank. I hope you get better soon. Love, Max." Lily held the letter close to her heart, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I want to keep all of these," she told her mom. "Every single one." The donations quickly surpassed anything Hannah and Brian could have imagined. The initial $50,000 check from Clint Eastwood had already been life-changing, but now the family's overwhelming medical bills were being paid off piece by piece by the kindness of strangers. And then came the phone call. Hannah picked up, her voice still shaky from the whirlwind of attention. "Hello? Hi. Is this Lily's mom?" A warm voice asked. "Yes, this is Hannah Morgan." "Who's calling?" "This is John from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We saw Lily's story and we'd like to grant her a wish." Hannah gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh my goodness, I don't know what to say." "Well, we'd like to help in any way we can. If Lily has a dream, anything at all, we want to make it happen," John said kindly. When Hannah shared the news with Lily, her daughter's face lit up brighter than it had in months. "Anything I want?" Lily asked, her excitement barely contained. "Anything," Hannah confirmed. "So, what's your biggest wish, sweetheart?" Lily thought for a moment, her small brows furrowing in concentration. Finally, she said, "I want to help other kids who are sick, like me. Can we do that?" Hannah's breath caught in her throat. You don't want something for yourself?" Lily shook her head. "No, Mommy. I want to help. Maybe we can make sure no other kid has to sell lemonade to get better." Hannah hugged her tightly, her heart swelling with pride. "We'll make it happen, baby." The Make-A-Wish Foundation jumped at the chance to help Lily's dream come true. Together with local businesses and charities, they helped the Morgan family establish the Lemonade for Hope Foundation, an initiative dedicated to providing financial support for families struggling with medical bills. The foundation launched with a massive community event held in the neighborhood park. Booths were set up for lemonade stands, live music played in the background, and dozens of volunteers worked tirelessly to make the event a success. But the highlight of the day came when Lily took the stage, microphone in hand. She looked out at the crowd, a mix of neighbors, supporters, and strangers who had come together because of her story. "Hi, everyone," she began, her small voice steady but filled with emotion. "I just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping me and for helping my family. And now I want to help other kids like me so they don't have to worry anymore. We can all make a difference, even if it's just a little." The crowd erupted into applause, and as Lily stepped off the stage, she was greeted by none other than Clint Eastwood. He had quietly joined the event, his presence humble yet unmistakable. "Lily," he said, crouching to meet her gaze, "you've done something extraordinary. I told you the world needs more people like you." Lily beamed up at him, her little hand slipping into his. "Thank you for helping me, Mr. Clint. I couldn't have done it without you." Clint shook his head, a small smile tugging at his lips. "No, kiddo. You're the one who made this happen. I just gave you a little push." As the sun dipped below the horizon that evening, the park buzzed with an energy of hope and possibility. What had started as a single lemonade stand had grown into a movement, proof that even the smallest acts of kindness could change the world.